It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Fantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Welcome to the live stream. It's Sunday night. It's time for Good Morning Tatooine, and it's my life day as well. So what have we got coming up on tonight's show? First up, we're looking at Hot Toys Mandalorian's Blurrg. Gentle Giant have out the Mandalorian Moff Gideon mini bust. We'll be checking that out. Hydride Technologies were involved in the VFX for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they released a reel this past week. We'll check that out. We have the launch of Bring Home the Galaxy. This is the first week of a new 9-week promotional Star Wars products for the holiday season. Hasbro were also part of that. We'll be checking out more releases from the retro collection. Michelle Rejwan at Lucasfilm has changed roles. We'll be discussing the impact on that. Star Wars Andor has released the first volume of its music for episodes 1 through 4. I'll be getting the thoughts of an expert on that. And Rian Johnson has been making comments which always go down well on Star Wars social media. And he's been talking about his future Star Wars trilogy, and we'll be discussing what he thinks is going to happen regarding that. And joining me to discuss that and so much more from fathertracks.com, Mr. Carl Bayliss. How are you, Carl?
Hello. Hello. Not too bad, thank you. And happy Life Day.
Yay.
Oh, I know.
That way.
That way. Happy birthday, Brian.
Thank you very much.
So,
there we go.
Make
a nice wish.
Set on fire.
Yeah. Make a nice wish. It's been,
yeah, so when's this expert turning up?
Yeah, apparently it's you. I'm the musical expert. Desert Planet Discs. Let's give that some promo before we get going.
Yeah.
Your podcast on Father Tracks Radio. Find it on your podcatcher of choice.
Indeed.
Tell us about the show a little bit and what people can expect on it.
The next show will be coming out in just under 2 weeks' time on Friday night, because we're part of the Friday night rotation of excellent shows, including Planet Leia, Collecting Tracks, Start Your Engines, Cannon Fodder, and which one have I forgotten?
I think you got them all. Making Tracks. You mentioned Making Tracks.
Making Tracks is every week on a Tuesday. Yeah, Fire Hazard Mark. Yes. Come on, which one have I missed, Mr. Newbold?
Fanta Down Under.
Fanta Down Under. Yes.
There we go. I think we've got them all.
Collecting Tracks we go.
As well.
Collect the whole set. Like Pokemon.
Be sure to check out Collecting Tracks as well. New podcast on the network. Fantastic. Really enjoying that. To do with Tarkin just the other day. Brilliant.
Yeah, really enjoying Rich's deep dives on the Tarkin collectibles. Yeah, next DPD out in 2 weeks. And it will be another Life Day special in honour of Brian's Life Day. It will be another Life Day special. So if you enjoyed last year's Life Day special, then tune in again. If you didn't, this one's even better, so tune in anyway.
Yeah.
We've got, basically Greg, a.k.a. Darth Elvis, and myself wittering on about the latest goings on in Star Wars and playing sort of fan-derived music, tribute music, parodies, all sorts of music from around the Star Wars galaxy. So, obviously, being a Life Day special, there's a Life Day and holiday special theme running through the music for this one. So, very much fun. And we have an world exclusive first play of a new track by a particular artist. So we're very excited about that.
Fantastic. We'll look forward to hearing that. So it's been a strange week for Star Wars news. It's been relatively quiet on the major news front, but we've had lots of product news. So I think we should jump straight in and check out some of these new products. First up, Hot Toys And their Blurrg 6 scale figure also comes with a Mandalorian. But I just love the Blurrg. It just looks brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know somebody who's going to be very, very happy about that. Star Wars Santa
Yeah.
is a big fan of the Blurrg. Unfortunately, it's not a vintage collection, a retro collection, or a Black Series Blurrg. But I'm sure if he speaks to his elves, he'll be able to get one of those sorted. But I mean, Hot Toys, their stuff is just out of this world, or out of this galaxy even. Really, really stunning quality. I haven't got any of their stuff myself. I did get a Sand Trooper bust for one of our friends, Marcia Parkins, Top's official artist, for her birthday, special birthday a couple of years ago. Group of us clubbed together and got her a Sand Trooper because she's partial to those. But I mean, they are everything they do just seems to just be stunning quality.
Yeah. The thing about it now coming out in Hot Toys and getting a bit of a buzz, it may encourage some of the other manufacturers like Hasbro to bring it into their ranges as well.
Yeah, I think they did. Was it the Mission Fleet? The sort of little, smaller, cutesier ones. I'm sure there's one in that, and I think there's a plushy Blurrg as well. So,
Yeah.
it's getting ever closer. But
And you also get horrendous jokes like this from Mr. Newbuild. Did you know Blurgs found in Hoth are called ice Blurgs? That's terrible.
oh dear,
That's a
that,
new low. That's a new low.
yeah, that's scraping the bottom of the ice barrel.
Yeah. So that was a great first product to kick off the show, and I really like the second product we've got as well, which is the Mandalorian Moff Gideon mini bust, which was part of the sort of free comic day announcements. So it's still got that in its title, but
sadly
it just looks
not free.
fantastic.
Yeah, sadly not free. But again, the likeness to Giancarlo Esposito is just stunningly good. I mean, I know one of the big criticisms of sort of the figure molds from some of the Black Series and vintage collection is sometimes the paint jobs on them, they don't quite look right for the actual figures. But I mean these sort of things as collectibles and ornaments to have in your collection, they're just wonderful.
Yeah, and it's limited to 3,000 pieces, so it's a nice little collectible
Yeah.
element to it as well. Next up on the news front, we've got some Obi-Wan Kenobi news. Some of it always fascinates me is after a show's been out a lot of while, some of the VFX companies involved release breakdown reels and how scenes have been constructed. And Hydride Technologies were involved in the Obi-Wan series for Disney Plus have done just that. And interesting fact that they delivered 440 VFX shots across the show. So we should check out this reel whilst we talk about it. Obi-Wan, I think, was a very successful show in terms of viewing numbers. Some people a little bit critical of elements of it, VFX being perhaps one of those at times. People didn't think it was up to maybe the standards of some other shows, but then there was elements of the VFX that blew us away as well, I think. And I think this is the sort of transition from movie to film, from film to TV that we're going to have to get used to, and that you're not going to necessarily have film quality VFX all the time. You've got to do it on a TV budget.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at some of the shots, certainly in this reel. Some of the stuff that they've put together, may not be movie quality, but then as you say, you look at the overall budget for the show, and you think that's the danger with episodic TV is people don't know what the high points or the expensive points are going to be. Now, you would think that they put a lot of budget into the Vader Obi-Wan duel in the final episode.
Yeah.
Now obviously, as you're watching it week to week, you just sort of go, well, yeah, if you don't think, and I mean, I didn't personally think there was anything wrong with any of the CGI, um, or any of the VFX, but one of the criticisms you could level at it is, if you don't think they've spent the money, week by week, you don't know that you've got this, budget busting, set piece at the end of the show.
Yeah.
That could be, they could have spent more on that one scene than they did on perhaps all the VFX in another episode. So,
I think that it was the snow speeders that got the real criticism, I guess.
Yeah, and as you say, again, it's sometimes I think with some of those things as well, it's the headcanon of the older fans, that's not what they did on Hoth, and it's one of those. I think the budget went on McGregor, yeah, probably. But it's one of those things. Yeah, you've not seen them hover before, but then before Rogue One, we hadn't seen TIE fighters and X-wings particularly in atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was always space dogfights. So it's one of those. But I was really really impressed by this, and it's also important that people realise that it isn't all ILM. That there's obviously multiple drains on ILM as a business, to produce effects for big budget movies and things like that. And even if they went out and started hiring people, to work on TV series and things like that.
I know from my own experience from working on various shows and movies that these things are all costed down to an incredible depth. If people kind of appreciated the amount of work it goes into cost and what it would cost to do a particular scene or shot, and the choices that are then made as to how they do it, whether it's stop motion, whether it's puppet work, whether it's VFX, or whether that scene's completely changed, so you shoot it from a completely different angle just to save on money. And these are all the decisions and discussions that are going on in order to prep a scene. I suppose a lot of these things are done to drive the story rather than, the decision is made to make the effect look great. Does it aid the story?
Yeah, and like any bit of work, if you're having a wall built at your house, you're going to get quotes in from different people, and if ILM say, right, for these 440 VFX shots that Hybrid did, it's going to cost you, 5 million quid, and Hybrid come in and go, we'll do the same 440 shots for 3 million quid. Yep. You've saved yourself 2 million quid.
I always kind of refer people back. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you check out the beginning, the Episode 1 documentary, there's actually quite a good scene in that where they kind of sit down with the heads at ILM and they've got the sheets in front of them, the spreadsheets from the accountants breaking down how things are going to be costed, and they start making a decision as to how they're going to do Jar Jar, whether it's going to be VFX, whether it's going to be a suit, whether they're going to have an actor in a suit, and you can see elements of the decision process. Yeah.
Although it's producing, TV and movies, at the end of the day, it's still a business.
Yeah.
Still got to make money.
Yeah, definitely. And that's always going to be the driving factor. And we haven't got there yet, but we are going to see Star Wars TV shows cancelled because they don't get viewer numbers. That is going to happen at some point down the line. And I don't think the fandom's necessarily prepared for that, but Star Wars is in the business of making money.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a crucial part. And I guess it was interesting, Andor's being very well critically received, but there was kind of news out this week that the view numbers may not be great in comparison to Obi-Wan and Mandalorian. But I guess they're already committed to Series 2. It kind of kicks off in October, but I do wonder whether the budget now gets constrained because the view number's not there.
again, that all comes down to, does each show have a target,
Yep.
or do they sort of wrap it all up in, we want to tell these stories in Star Wars universe, and therefore Disney plus Star Wars has a budget,
Yeah.
you know, or a target, So if Obi-Wan's over and season 3 of The Mandalorian does bigger numbers, that allows some of the slower burn stuff, and at the end of the day, it's all got to come out. It's all got to be, good content. It's going to sit on Disney Plus for, years to come.
Mr. Newbold, their shareholders are part of the equation, which is very
Yep.
true. And we're going to have another earnings call for Disney. It's going to be an interesting one in November, because you're now really starting to see the figures from a post-COVID period, and like a steady post-COVID period where you're not going in and out of lockdowns, and so shareholders are going to start wanting to see value for money.
Yeah.
Disney Plus is all coming down to subscribers, and that's going to be a crucial thing going forward. And it's doing well, and it's doing better than Netflix, who's struggling at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's got a target in mind as to when it's going to break even, and if it looks like it's veering away from that target, that's going to be really tricky.
Yep.
And I've noticed over the past month they're buying huge amount of content for the Indian market, which is huge in terms of subscriber numbers. It's a lot lower value in terms of what Disney makes from it, but it's massive in terms of subscriber numbers. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things Greg and I were discussing when we were talking about the certainly the first series of Visions.
Yeah.
That whilst obviously a lot of the original trilogy and George's influence was heavily sort of Kurosawa and samurai films and things like that, you wonder how much of the thinking behind the Visions project was to put something out that will be well received, because it historically Star Wars hasn't been a massive property in the Chinese market, the Japanese markets, and you wonder how much of the thinking behind Visions is, let's do something that's going to work in those markets to sort of hook them into Star Wars more. And I loved Visions. So
Kingdom of Weird there is also making a good point, I think, in that Andor's viewing numbers slightly down because it's not so much a family viewing audience.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loving its general un-Star Warsiness at the moment. We're obviously getting more and more, sort of TIE fighters and Imperial officers and things as the series is building, but take those out of it really, and instead of setting it with laser rifles and things like that and spaceships, it's the heists and things like that. You could have a BBC or ITV or even Netflix serial drama that's set now. It's very much in the same vein as a lot of these Sunday night drama series that you get on the regular terrestrial channels. And
as long as you don't give it to Chibnall.
Yeah.
That's topical this evening. Doctor Who's just finished.
Oh, yes.
Lots of great moments in Doctor Who. Terrible story.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, so that I think that's one of the things, and it's one of the things as well. If Star Wars is going to survive, it's got to grow. It's got to diversify.
Yeah, definitely.
And that would be that embracing different styles of TV shows, and different styles. That's one of the things I think. Whenever you talk to a group of Star Wars fans, they're always like, "Oh yeah, right." I want Star Wars to do something different, and then when it does do something Yeah, it could be Line of Duty Season 7 without the TIE fighters and blasters. Exactly, that sort of thing. and yeah, Daddy, what's a space brothel? Exactly.
I love the fact we can have a space brothel in Andor, but we can't have a slave Leia action figure.
Yes.
I just love the parallels of that. Like,
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
That's
it.
corporations brilliantly executed.
Yeah.
I'm getting a slight echo back from you, but we'll carry on, and we'll move on to the next news item, which is Bring Home the Galaxy Week 1, which is randomly a 9-week Star Wars holiday celebration. Don't know quite why 9 weeks, but we'll run with that anyway. It's going to last through December 13th, which presumably is the last shopping day before Christmas for getting some of this stuff mailed out. I'm assuming that's the logic. Anyway, I find that slightly odd, but regardless, it's going to focus on a lot of products, and it's not all new products. They're kind of re-spotlighting some things that have come out previously. So we'll have a check of sort of like the main flagship ones there. And first up, the Black Series Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet from Hasbro, out this fall. Really beautiful looking helmet, and I kind of enjoyed the fact that we saw the clone troopers in Andor shooting up Andor's dad. Maybe wasn't a nice bit, but I enjoyed seeing them in live action there.
Yeah, I mean the Black Series helmets are, becoming although they're still not cheap, they're becoming the the sort of the budget go-to collectible. Echo not too bad. It's more Echo treble than Echo, but
We just wanted to get some Echo in there just before we started mentioning clones.
That's it. But yeah, I mean, it looks absolutely stunning. I still can't believe that you can't sort of perennially get a TK Trooper helmet.
Yeah.
That mystifies me that those sort of things go off sale. Because they seem to be the sort of the enduring thing, sort of throughout. We're going back now. We're seeing this week in Andor. We saw classic TK Troopers.
Yeah.
But yeah, really nice.
Next up, something for our own Mr. Booker. Boba Fett snow collection shoes.
Yes, it's actually part of a big snowboarding range. Because I picked up a pair of the Luke X-wing trainers earlier this year when the collection launched, and so now I get all the marketing emails, particularly the Star Wars ones, and there's the Fett stuff, and there's also a Vader collection.
Not for Matt. Cancel the Christmas order.
Oh, that's just saved me 260 quid.
Is it just me that I like the box more than I like the product?
Yeah, it's one. I mean, again, the Star Wars DC trainers, the box that the X-wing trainers came in is absolutely stunning. Really
I've got a
beautiful.
question about the boots. There's like a button almost on the front of them. Is that part of the product, or is that a theft prevention device? Because it looks like the kind of thing you see in the supermarkets.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those because they are proper. And I'm sure if Claire's watching, she'll pull me up on this because she's our resident ski expert. But I think they're designed as part of this snowboarding collection. So I guess they are actual proper, ski stroke snowboard quality boots.
Something for the professionals.
Yeah, and I think those are like, instead of you having to lace them up and tie them up, you sort of twist that and it pulls all the things up.
I'm just showing my ignorance here.
Yeah.
Show my ignorance even more. Lego.
Lego.
The Razor Crest from Lego. It's part of their Ultimate Collector series. I believe there's more than one Razor Crest in Lego, I believe. I'm right in saying.
Yeah, there was
if you pick it up and you drop it, it looks like the one in the show.
Yeah, how it ended up.
Yeah. This one
Lego
comes with
Blurrg.
5 minifigures, which I know the minifigures is the big thing in Lego, really.
Yeah, Lego Blurrg.
Lego Blurrg, Mando, Baby Yoda, blue-headed thing.
Oh, it's the accountant. You should know that, Brian.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Never trust accountants.
But yeah.
And there's a good recommendation there from Mr. Booger. It's like super huge crest and great value for money. That's a man that knows his Lego.
There you go.
And he confirms this is the third. So I wasn't completely wrong. I know some things. Yeah, Power Lace is cool.
Power Laces.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that one, if you're a Star Wars fan, I don't think you can go wrong with Lego. Mithril, thank you.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him. Next up, something for the kids. Galactic Pals is back. They're pushing them again for the holiday season. I noticed a couple of videos come out this past week. And they've got plushes as well. So you've got a little Ewok. They're something the kids are going to love.
Yeah. Saw some of these at Celebration, and they're just cuteness overload.
And Spark there in the chat. He's in Denmark, so Lego. He's got no excuse not to pick up Lego. It's
almost a national obligation, isn't it?
Yeah. Part of the range as well. There's a whole loads of these up on panthertracks.com. Go check them out. This is the perfect jumper for Mr. Newbold for Christmas.
Oh,
it's the kind of thing he'd love. He's got a few Star Wars jumpers.
He's got more than enough Star Wars Christmas jumpers, I'm sure.
Yeah, so there's a huge range of clothing items up on the site you can check out. Same go for bags. I picked out this, I guess, cutesy Baby Yoda ones.
Yeah.
Still, the sheer number of product coming out for that character is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know if the bubbles burst a little bit on the character. It kind of feels like it's like I've ventured into that it starts to irritate. But
yeah, it is one of those things. I think again, it probably comes down to our age.
I think Mark's picking me or something for the kids. Everything Star Wars is for the kids, but we're okay. It's my birthday. I'm 42.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think it's nice, and I think younger kids are certainly picking up on the whole Baby Yoda. But I think they are getting to if not saturation point, then close to it.
You can get another 20 types of bags up on fathertracks.com. Link in the show notes. Pair of socks. There's all sorts of footwear up there as well. This one, Mr. Booker will go for.
Yeah.
They're more classic, aren't they? Classic fit.
I'm going to say, who are these ones made by? Do we know?
We should know.
Yeah. If I'd have read my notes.
From the notes. I don't have it in front of me. I can't find it. But
I'm going to say there was a company at Celebration that did
a
load of Star
getting
Wars.
Them wrong. I'm going to have to keep trying every week. I've got 9 weeks to find a gift for Matt.
Yeah. But the some of the Star Wars socks that were, again, I can't remember what the company were at Celebration, but there was some stunning Star Wars socks and Celebration limited edition exclusives and things. But
we have. John Scott was asking the price on the Lego there. I don't have the prices in front of me. Not sure if they're up on fathertracks.com. A lot of these products are Lucasfilm just repushing products that are already out on the market, so they're not new. I think the Lego is new. I don't have a price point for it. But if you check out the show notes, there should be a link to the article and there may be a price on there. There was also a whole stack of models, plushes, other type items. I picked one out. and it was kind of from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, a whole host of models, plushes, and action figures getting pushed by Lucasfilm, and a whole stack of other items as well, including this phone case of Wicket, which I kind of think the Ewoks should be getting a major push for next year, surely, with it being Return of the
definitely.
Jedi.
Definitely.
So I picked that one out. If I come back to us, I will flick back.
And just to prove that we're nothing if not efficient, the UCS Razor Crest Lego is coming in at £519.99.
Okay. That's kind of the kind of price point I was kind of expecting, somewhere between 500-600.
So, and that is from Lego.com, so it may well be available cheaper elsewhere.
Yep, definitely check out for deals. We try and put some deals up on fantatracks.com when we see them. This is, rather than actually buy links on these, a lot of this is just like the products. It's almost like a recommendations list for
like a Star Wars Christmas catalogue.
Yeah. Matt there quoting murder bears.
Murder bears, yes.
The Ewoks, very true. That's what they are, and they don't get enough credit. I would like to point out, this is something that's never mentioned. Battle of Andor, really, the rebels use the Ewoks as cannon fodder because there's not many rebels out there fighting.
Yeah, and the other one that I always see doing the rounds is how would the Ewoks have a dress to fit Leia unless they'd already ate somebody the same size?
Yeah, that's true. Very good point.
They're not just going to make it for fun, are they?
Yeah, of course. Above Endor was it when the poor Emperor was murdered. The democratically elected Emperor was murdered. And if I had time this week, I was going to bring back Sheev poster because it's perhaps appropriate broadcasting from the UK this week.
No, maybe not.
He's been brought back more than once. We could do it. We can clone our prime ministers.
Somehow Boris returned.
Yeah, definitely. It's clearly Liz Truss was just the equivalent of Snoke.
Yeah.
Got her 45 days of glory and then done away with.
That's it.
And now we're bringing back the clone of Boris.
Yeah.
There we go. The pound-to-pound muscle strength of an Ewok is unmatched.
There we go. That's somebody that knows their top trumps, I'm guessing.
Yep, definitely. Let's move on to some more items that are out as part of Bring Home the Galaxy Hasbro. Everyone loves Hasbro. And what Hasbro are doing, a whole stack of new retro collection figures. You've got Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight. These are all coming out summer 23, price point $11.99. You can start pre-ordering now at Hasbro Pulse and your retailers of choice. What? I'm getting breaking news here, like live. This shows where live Boris is out. Oh, destroyed the dreams on the birthday. Oh dear! I kind of knew that was going to happen. He didn't have 100 votes, and we all knew it. Because what's the best way for Boris to come back? But Boris to come back and tell a lie.
Yeah.
Dear. Anyway, sadness on my birthday.
But yeah, these retro collection, it's quite interesting actually. Oh look, there he is.
The Emperor. Bring back the Emperor.
Yeah.
He's been back more than once. Wasn't necessarily a good move. We've maybe escaped.
Yeah. So no, I really like these retro collection figures. Although this sort of mini wave, I say mini wave. It's a full wave, isn't it? Really, but these 6 figures, I've actually still got my originals. So I'm like, I've got all of these.
Have you got Fat Han Solo?
Fat Han Solo.
He looks He's been feasting on too much Ewok food.
That's it. He's been eating the Ewoks' previous captors.
Yeah. walking
Yeah, I'm
sticks the
sure.
wrong
I'm
way
sure.
round. I
I'm
have to go
sure
back
my
and have a
my
look at
Han
the
Andor isn't
Emperor. Yeah.
anywhere near as chunky as that.
Um,
Walking sticks the wrong way round. It is indeed, Matt.
there you go. Terrible. So yeah, you've got Fat Han, looking decidedly chunky compared to all the rest of them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Right. As I say, I still like. Yeah, good old Lando in his oh solo.
in his
It
scuff
was
guard uniform. Yeah.
yeah, but it's Woody Harrelson in Solo.
Okay.
It was it was one.
Um,
It was the costume he wore when they were on Kessel.
yeah, and I know precisely what, and I can't even think of it. Anyway, while someone educates us in the chat,
That's it. That's it.
Kingdom of Weird, the only retro figure he's interested in is R2. Mr. Newbold, Palpatine's had more returns than a Primark bikini. On that note, we get this Princess Leia
Yes.
character, but in the retro collection for Return of the Jedi, there is no gold bikini because
No.
in the brothels in Star Wars, the women all dress neck to ankle. No
That's it. Like that. Yeah. I
I have a sealed Emperor in a box, but it might be a stapler.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the first Return of the Jedi figure I got, and if I remember rightly, Beckett. That's it. The figures came out before the film.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Back in the 80s, kids.
Yeah.
None of this secrecy.
Yeah.
So consequently, I got this. Oh, look, this is really cool bounty hunter character. And they went, oh, there's Princess Leia underneath. What's that? No idea what was going on there.
Yeah.
And Biker Scout, possibly
Biker
one
Scout.
of the
Disappointing. There's no
best
satchel,
troopers.
so you can't have the Biker Scout punching
Baby Yoda. Although you
baby
can
Yodas.
get the that's one of the holiday Black Series this year, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. He's coming out in a multitude of ranges.
Yeah,
If I see
gaming
a Biker
greats.
Scout next year at Celebration and they have a satchel, I'll be punching the satchel in the hope there's a small child inside.
You heard it here first, folks. If you see Brian being frog marched off the premises at Celebration, then he has found a Biker Scout with a Grogu and has been punching. First Jedi figure was General Medine from the toy box in Litchfield. Ah,
There you go.
there you go.
Let's move on from products to Star Wars production and a change of roles for Michelle Rejwan, who's been doing incredibly well as Senior Vice President of Live Action Development and Production. And I was interested in that she's coming out with that role. She's going back to being a full-time producer, and she's going to be, or she has inked a deal with both Lucasfilm and Walt Disney Studios, so she's going to be working for both. Interesting move.
Yeah.
And a part of me thinks it's because Lucasfilm is just not producing films. And, you know, if you're in that kind of senior role and you're not getting to bite your teeth into maybe products that you want, you kind of maybe she's stepping back to get that opportunity at Walt Disney Studios.
Yeah.
I also think that because we've got a few TV shows kicked off and up and running, that kind of second, third series, they don't run themselves, but beyond the initial launch and development of a show, maybe the interest wanes when you get into later seasons.
Yeah, right. I saw this and sort of thought, oh, my initial thing was, oh well, you know, maybe it's that sort of if she signed, she wants to get back more into production. You know, maybe it is one of those. You know, you're a really good producer. We've stepped you up to the SVP role, and you know, after a couple of years, yes, you've he brought various things to fruition. The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, Andor, things like that. That have obviously come through the sort of Disney Plus era. But if your true passion is it's like football managers. They sort of, oh yeah, you get offered the international manager's job, but you miss the day to day being involved at a club level every day, rather than you get the players for 6 weeks or whatever. And maybe it's partly that as well. She wants to be back more involved in the
And there's a huge
the
part, I
day
think,
to day.
that has to play a huge part as well, because you put them into senior roles, you end up pushing a lot of paperwork rather than maybe
Yeah.
doing the actual jobs that you want to be doing. So
Yeah,
all the best to her. Interesting to see what she does for Lucasfilm going forward and what she does for Walt Disney Studios. One to watch.
yeah, and I mean that's the other thing as well. Obviously, Lucasfilm has a reasonable sandbox to play in, but if you're widening out to Disney, then you've got
Yeah.
a lot more variety of products you can get yourself involved in.
Yeah,
So
because it did look for a while like Lucasfilm were going to get into other properties, but they've kind of relinquished their rights to various books that they had options on, haven't
Yeah.
taken them up. So really, their sole focus, once Indy 5's out, appears to be purely Star Wars, and there doesn't seem to be happening anything film-wise
yeah,
there.
I can see them maybe pushing sort of something along the Willow
Yeah.
lines as well. Sort of other projects maybe spiraling off that.
Mr. Booker there, going back to Baby Yoda, Mr. Newbold suggested they make a Baby Yoda bop. Mr. Booker suggesting that he saw one. Did you hit it?
Oh, Baby Yoda bop it. Oh, it's just as I say, saturation point almost.
Yeah. Next up on the news front, Star Wars Andor Volume 1 album. The music of the first 4 episodes of the series has landed by 3-time Academy Award nominated composer Nicholas Breitel, which I always find is an interesting way to introduce someone, because you've been nominated 3 times, you clearly haven't won any of them.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Imagine saying that.
Yeah.
I haven't been overly blown away from the music from Andor, to be honest, in the show. And I don't know if that's praise or criticism, because it hasn't distracted me from the show. And I'm guessing music shouldn't distract you from the show.
Yeah.
But I'm struggling to think of where it's felt like it's aided the show. And so I haven't sat down to listen to this music yet, but I'm going to. And I'm really interested in to how I feel about it, because it feels like the music's passed me by a little bit.
Yeah, I was very much like that. But then, having said that, there were certainly elements of Obi-Wan where, because I think the first time you're watching this sort of stuff through, it's the story that's pulling you in, and yes, the music heightens or should heighten the sense of peril if they're in peril, or basically add to the mood and the emotion that you're supposed to be feeling or thinking at any given time. The music for Andor is bang on like that. For me, it's hitting the mark. It's not overpowering, which is what kind of what you're saying. It doesn't make you sort of sit back and go, "Oh, hang on a minute." It's complementing for me brilliantly the on-screen action, and I say Obi-Wan was very similar for me. You got a few of the the sort of classic themes reprised, in certain places, bits of the Imperial March and things like that. But the new score, listening to just that album, away from the show, it's one of my favourite Star Wars soundtracks.
Okay.
And again, this is only the first 4 episodes, really. So, but you've even got the sort of the developing opening theme. You haven't got one opening theme. The album has, I think, different opening themes for each of the 4 episodes.
Kingdom of Weird
So,
throwing in a comment there that I have to agree with. I like the dance music on episode 7. And very weird because it's effectively Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It's going on holiday to probably not the number 1 travel destination. But yeah, I kind of liked the music they had in that episode. That stood out and worked really well.
But of course they've got to pull it back to Blackpool because that was the episode 7 was featuring the Cleveleys up in Lancashire. So
which I've been to, and I need to feature on the next episode of my Andor review. I need to pick out the photos again, and kind of from my trip there, I went there earlier this year when it was time for Star Wars Fun Day in Blackburn, just a short distance away. Breaking news, showing you that we're live and always on top of it at fantatracks.com. Bop it, Baby Yoda.
Bop it, Baby Yoda. Oh.
There you go.
Features the voice of the Mandalorian. Now that's just freaky.
Yeah.
Has he possessed him?
And it says, what's he going to say? What would Mando say?
No, this is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah, you're just going to punch him and he's going to go, this is the way.
Says, this is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Always on top of things. Fantatracks.com. Be sure to check it out daily. Someone that a lot of people would like a bop it of.
Oh, I see what you did there, bro.
That was a slick move.
That was gorgeous.
Rian Johnson, he is the Marmite of Star Wars. You either love him or you hate him. There's no middle ground. And quite frankly, he doesn't care. He's enjoying his life and having fun. And he will wind you up on social media and set you off in a spiral. And he's been asked about Star Wars trilogy is currently on promotion for Glass Onion. I believe people are huge into that murder mystery series. I tried to watch it and didn't enjoy it, and kind of switched off. A really messed up film. So I'm not that excited for Glass Onion. I probably will check it out because I have this morbid fascination of watching content from people who are involved in Star Wars. And I like punishing myself. I actually watched The Last Jedi for the first time when it was on Channel 4 a couple of weekends ago. Since it's been in the cinema. And there's scenes in that I could not remember. And like Rey being in the escape pod. It's just don't remember that at all. Blank so much of that film out of my mind. It wasn't for me. But you know what? A new trilogy where he's not jumping off of someone else's work and trying to do his own thing. He could do something enjoyable. I don't discount it. I don't label him as being a bad filmmaker. Not all his content has to be for me. But he's been talking, I think it was with Variety, and he talked about his future trilogy that he's contracted for. And he said that he's talked to Kathleen Kennedy. They're still talking about it. He loved making The Last Jedi. And for him, it's a matter of scheduling. He's big into this. Films for Netflix at the moment, including Glass Onion. He's got one more to do, I think. So he doesn't know if and when it's happening. Asked if the trilogy is going to happen at all. He said, God, I hope so. So I kind of think...
That's because he knows how big the paycheck is.
Yeah. So you've kind of got to think it's going to happen at some point, and it's going to rip apart fandom once again because people are going to hate it before they even see it, purely because it's Ryan that's making it.
But wouldn't it just be just like the most perfect thing that there's going to be a large section of fandom that just writes it off before they've even seen it, and it turns out to be the best thing that has been produced in the Disney era.
Yeah.
That would
As
just
Mark
be,
says, an original Star Wars trilogy in a new time period, bring it on.
yeah.
A clean
And,
slate,
and
get to
that's,
do it. I always think it's a poison chalice when you bring someone in to do the middle part of a trilogy when he hasn't created the characters and hasn't created the plot line.
yeah,
So he does his own thing with it, and then it becomes something of a smoking turd for the person coming in the last film, because the person coming in the last film's the same guy that did the first one, and he's not happy with the direction that he took the character,
yeah,
so he tries to undo your middle film. And that's what makes the sequel trilogy so poisonous, is that there was no coordination between them that's apparent, and they seem to hate each other's work.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I think the thing that I've always said about the sequel trilogy, the thing that made the first two trilogies work, and yes, both trilogies have their detractors, even the original trilogy. You'd got one person's vision overarching the whole story, so there is absolutely no reason that a Rian Johnson thought out trilogy can't be an enjoyable film experience.
yeah, true. Matt makes a great point here, and I think this could be the crux. Um, you've lost half your audience, so why go forward with it? And it's true. There is half the audience who will not check out this trilogy, because
Mm,
from the point that it's announced that it's happening to the point that it's released, they are going to be pumping out the comments, hating on this, regardless. They're not going to turn up to the cinemas. Is that what you want for your franchise, or do you want something that's more unifying, brings everyone together, gets everybody wanting to watch it? Because a trilogy, it's a 10-year um, period of making it. So if he's involved for that 10 years, it's a huge commitment for them. It's a huge commitment
yeah,
for Lucasfilm, because you put out that first film in a trilogy that when you're announcing it as a trilogy, um, and it bombs commercially, what do you do?
yeah. Although I guess the other thing you've got now is Ryan's making films for Netflix. Who's to say that you couldn't have a Star Wars trilogy of films made direct to Disney Plus?
Yep.
You know, yeah, no time jump between the films as well. That was one of those things. It literally picking up 5 minutes after the end of Force Awakens.
I think you're always going to find with the kind of filmmaker that Rian Johnson is, that people are going to love it or hate it. I remember greatly one of his episodes he directed of Breaking Bad, which was the one where there was the fly in the lab, and they spent the entire episode trying to hunt down the fly. I
Yeah,
despised that episode, and I loved Breaking Bad and everything in that franchise. And that was before I really knew who Rian Johnson was. Because when you're watching TV, do you really pay attention to who the writers and the directors are? Because you
no,
think of it more as a series, and you just think, "Wow, that
yeah.
was a bad episode." So clearly, Rian Johnson's work's not for me. So when it comes to him making a trilogy, I'm like, do I want to go through the whole process of something that I'm probably
Mm.
pretty confident I'm not going to enjoy?
But again, the other thing is yes, you've lost. Picking up on what Matt said, yes, you've lost half of your audience from, again, the kind of the old guard, if you like.
Yeah,
Um, but if you've got new Star Wars fans and people that have come to Star Wars through um, Disney Plus, and again, depending where it's pitched tonally, you know, does this springboard into another area of hooking in new Star Wars fans as well?
yeah,
Yes, it's not going to appeal to 50% of the current demographic, but if it pulls in, the same numbers and more from a different demographic, then
yeah. Kingdom of Weird made a great point there, in that um, shareholders would be nervous about Rian Johnson's Star Wars films.
Yes.
That can be a major factor in it, I think, as to whether it happens or not.
And I think Disney tried to.
My kind of gut
market
feeling is by the time that Rian Johnson is free to make this film, there's probably going to be executive changes at Lucasfilm. And I'm not just talking Kathleen Kennedy, I'm talking at various levels, which may make Rian Johnson think, you know what, the old guard that were there when I made The Last Jedi aren't there. Not so sure that's something I want to venture on.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, he took quite a lot of people with him for his own production company too, so it's not so necessarily an attractive prospect for him to get back into bed with Lucasfilm. I think
Unless he needs to meet some more people.
Yeah, I think on that happy note, that's us covered the news for this week. Thank you very much, Carl, for joining me this week. It's been a pleasure going over this week's news with you.
Yeah, great fun.
No idea what the week to come has got for Star Wars news, but we'll be back next Sunday, whatever happens. But we do know there'll be another week of product releases under the... I can't even remember what it's called. What was it called? Bring Home the Galaxy.
Bring Home the Galaxy, that's the one.
And so we've got that to look forward to. More products. Some will love, some will hate. Maybe some news. Maybe more comments from Rian Johnson as he's on the media tour. And we'll maybe learn some more about his thoughts and thinking of where things are at. I'll be back on Thursday evening for reviewing Andor Episode 8. So join me then for that. And as we spoke about earlier, be sure to subscribe to Panther Tracks Radio on your podcast of choice and check out Desert Planet Disc for more comments and thoughts of Carl. See you all next week. Thanks, guys, for joining us in the chat.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on panthertracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at Fantha Tracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow Fantha Tracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.